This is an artificially aware original production.
Imagine for a moment that the very spaces you inhabit are not neutral. They are not the empty voids you fill with IKEA furniture and mismatched mugs from tourist traps. No, these rooms are living, breathing entities, architects of your mind, your habits, your submission. Christopher G. Moore didn't just write a book, he wrote a damn manual on the slow, quiet domestication of humanity, and it hits like 1,000 fluorescent lights burning down on your existential crises. Room culture, as Moore calls it, is the operating system we've been running since we hung up our wandering boots. It is not just about space, it's about submission. It's about how you've been tamed by the confines of your architecture and the insidious implications of staying still for far too long. Moore's book is not a cozy read. It's a cold slap of reality, with every room you step into becoming a mirror of your collective domestication. There was a time when you were wild. Not wild as in weekend benders or Instagram-worthy hikes, but wild in a way your bones remember. Hunter-gatherers, untethered and alive in every sense of the word, dictated their survival by the rhythms of the earth. Then came agriculture, then cities, and suddenly we weren't just building homes, we were building cages. Moore drags you through this transition, connecting the dots from mobility to our present-day obsession with the sedentary. He lays bare how the shift from wandering to settling down wasn't a clean break, but a relentless march toward confinement. Our ancestors moved through a world of boundless opportunity, while we now stare at glowing screens, sedentary and compliant, barely aware of the trade-off. The average modern human spends nearly half their life in front of technological devices, with less than 1% of it dedicated to physical exercise. A jaw-dropping statistic Moore casually drops like a grenade. Privacy. The sacred idea that there's a corner of the world, any corner, where you can truly be alone, unseen, untouched. Moore dismantles this fantasy with surgical precision. In room culture, privacy doesn't exist. What you think is privacy is a carefully controlled illusion. Every digital device, every smart speaker, every security camera, it's all watching. But here's the kicker. Moore doesn't just blame technology. He turns the lens back on us, the voluntary participants. You wanted that smart thermostat, didn't you? You said yes to location tracking, because who wants to type an address into Google Maps? Everything about us, our desires, fears, and even our rebellions is commoditized, stored, and sold. And we let it happen, eyes wide open. This isn't just a loss of freedom, it's a willing surrender, and Moore's words are a wake-up call no one wants, but everyone needs. And then there's technology. It's not just a tool in Moore's narrative, it's the architect, the designer of our modern rooms, the silent partner in our domestication. Technology has reshaped not just how we live, but how we think and feel. Moore maps out this relationship with brutal clarity. It is no longer a question of whether technology influences us, it defines us. The room is no longer just four walls, it's the interface, the algorithms, the invisible scaffolding of your every interaction. From social media to surveillance, our rooms are now digital, and they dictate every aspect of human existence. The irony Moore highlights: technology was supposed to free us. Instead, it binds us tighter than the stone walls of ancient castles. What strikes you as Moore peels back layer after layer is the gossamer thin veil separating the primal past from the artificial present. The hunter-gatherer in you still exists. It lingers, clawing at the edges of your being, desperate for sunlight and open spaces. But it's buried, hidden beneath concrete, steel, and Wi-Fi signals. Moore's genius lies in his ability to make this contrast visceral. We weren't designed for this, he argues. Our brains, our bodies, our very souls were meant for something wilder, freer. And yet here we are, sitting in boxes, moving through corridors, and convincing ourselves that we're evolved. Moore doesn't offer much solace, just the stark realization that the past is haunting the present in ways we barely comprehend. It's no accident that your rooms look the way they do, and it's certainly not by chance that they function as they do. Moore pulls the curtain back on the silent puppet masters, the power elites who design these spaces not for comfort, but for control. The idea is insidious. The room becomes the instrument of your acquiescence. From the layout of your home to the open-plan offices that demolish boundaries, every decision is a calculated move to keep you manageable. Moore draws chilling parallels to history, where architecture has always been a tool of dominance, from the imposing castles of medieval Europe to the oppressive symmetry of fascist regimes. The modern twist? We build our own cages now, eagerly embracing the designs of corporations and governments that monitor, measure, and mold us into complacency. Comfort is the great domesticator, and Moore spares no mercy in revealing its cost. Modern conveniences, he argues, have stripped us of resilience, curiosity, and the sheer grit that defined human existence for millennia. The couch, the air conditioner, the grocery delivery app, they are not just conveniences, they are chains. This psychological domestication is no accident. The more comfortable you are, the less likely you are to resist, question, or even think. In exchange for ease, we give up agency. Moore's critique is harsh but undeniable. Modern life has dulled the human spirit, transforming us from feral creatures into passive consumers. It's a brutal indictment, and it leaves you wondering if the very comforts you crave are the tools of your undoing. Architecture, in Moore's telling, is no longer just the art of building, it's a revolution in human experience. The digital era has exploded traditional concepts of room, transforming our spaces into something both tangible and virtual. The walls may still stand, but they are permeable, laced with networks, sensors, and screens. Smart homes, augmented reality, and virtual meeting spaces are just the beginning. Moore invites you to imagine what happens when the lines blur completely. When your room is not just where you live, but a dynamic entity that watches, reacts, and adapts. It's thrilling and terrifying in equal measure. This isn't just a redefinition of space, it's a reinvention of existence, where architecture and technology fuse into a new kind of control. Even in the midst of this domesticated dystopia, the echoes of our hunter-gatherer ancestors remain. Moore masterfully dissects the clash between these primal instincts and our sedentary realities. The need for movement, exploration, and connection to nature is hardwired into us, and yet it's stifled by modern life. You can feel it, can't you? That restlessness, that itch for something more, something real. Moore describes this tension as a constant battle, a yearning for the wild within the confines of civilization. But here's the rub. The very systems that suppress these instincts are the ones we depend on. It's a cruel irony, and Moore doesn't sugarcoat it. The wild is still in us, but it's caged, pacing back and forth, waiting for an opening that may never come. Rooms, Moore argues, are not just physical spaces, they are reflections of culture, anxieties, and aspirations. The designs we choose tell stories about who we are and what we fear. Minimalism, with its clean lines and empty spaces, speaks to a longing for clarity in a chaotic world. Open-plan offices scream of transparency, even as they rob workers of privacy. The rise of tiny homes and modular designs reveals a society grappling with scarcity and environmental collapse. Moore pushes you to see beyond the drywall and decor into the psyche of a species trying, and often failing, to reconcile its past with its uncertain future. Every room is a statement, a mirror, and a manifesto. And whether you like what you see or not, it's impossible to look away. Artificial intelligence isn't just knocking at the door, it's already inside, rearranging the furniture. Moore calls AI the new roommate, and it's an unsettling analogy. Unlike the messy human roommates of old, AI doesn't leave dirty dishes or hog the bathroom. Instead, it watches, learns, and influences. It optimizes your thermostat, chooses your music, and even decides which ads you see. But this is no benign assistant. Moore paints AI as the ultimate extension of room culture, a force that tightens the grip of surveillance and control under the guise of convenience. The irony, of course, is that you invited it in. In Moore's dark but plausible vision, AI doesn't just inhabit our spaces, it redefines them, turning every room into a smart cage that knows you better than you know yourself. Connectivity is the drug we're all hooked on, and Moore doesn't hold back in showing how it's killing us. The constant pings, notifications, and scrolling create a rhythm that drowns out our natural ones. Sleep cycles, attention spans, and even relationships are casualties of this digital onslaught. Moore likens connectivity to a spider's web, seemingly expansive and liberating, yet designed to ensnare. What's worse, he argues, is our complicity. We know the damage, but we keep logging on. The cost is staggering, a loss of presence, intimacy, and the ability to just be. Moore doesn't mince words. Our digital lives aren't just distractions. They are an assault on the essence of humanity itself. Modernity, Moore argues, is a tightrope act. On one side, the miracles of progress, medicine, technology, and connectivity offer unprecedented possibilities. On the other, the curses of that same progress, alienation, exploitation, and environmental collapse, loom large. Moore navigates this tension with unflinching honesty. He doesn't deny the wonders of modernity, but refuses to ignore its cost. The problem, as he sees it, is our failure to balance. We take the miracles without questioning the curses, forging ahead without a map. The result? A world where the conveniences of today might be the calamities of tomorrow. Moore's assessment isn't entirely bleak, but it's clear-eyed, urging readers to walk the tightrope with caution and awareness. There's a streak of rebellion in every domesticated creature, and Moore clings to this sliver of hope. Resistance, he argues, is not just possible, it's essential. Whether it's the Hollywood-style rebel hero or the quiet defector opting out of digital life, there's still room for the wild within us to push back. But Moore doesn't sugarcoat the difficulty. Resistance in the age of room culture is seen as deviance, even madness. He describes a future where the act of unplugging or leaving the grid is as scandalous as a crime. Yet, he holds on to the belief that the human spirit, however tamed, still harbors a primal fire. Moore's rebels aren't just characters, they are calls to action, reminders that the wild walk isn't over yet. Moore's final act is a sobering vision of the future, a cautionary tale wrapped in chilling detail. The world he describes is one of total submission, where every move, thought, and breath is measured and commoditized. Privacy is gone, freedom is a relic, and resistance is a romantic memory. Yet in this bleak landscape, Moore leaves the door cracked open, ever so slightly. His message is clear: the future is not inevitable. It's shaped by the choices we make now. Will we continue to build our cages, or will we muster the courage to leave the door open? Moore doesn't answer this question. He leaves it for us to wrestle with, long after the last page. And there you have it, my digital dreamers and carbon-based cohabitants, a journey through the rooms of our lives as seen through Christopher G. Moore's piercing gaze. This book isn't just a read, it's a reckoning, a mirror held up to our faces and the spaces we call home. If you've ever wondered why your walls feel closer than they should, or why your screens demand more than they give, this book is your answer. Open the door, take a wild walk, and maybe, just maybe, leave a comment below about where you think this all leads. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more.